Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. It's podcast 5. Bloody hell, I've done 5 already. And yeah, to anyone who doesn't know, the Wanted Streaming podcast is where I get a wonderful streamer that I've met throughout my past nearly 18 months now of streaming. And I talk to them about their time as a streamer, their time as gamers, whatever, the conversation, wherever the flow takes us, we will talk about it. And for this month's podcast, I decided to go with someone that I've actually played with before on the on my streams, playing Mario Kart at one point. It's not actually, to be fair, this is not the first time that I've done that, because CK and Kelt I've also played with before. But that being said, we've also got, you know, we got to add to that list the one and only MeepleOfBritain with a lovely, extravagant purple diamond camera border, which we love to see.
Hello there, guys.
Yeah. Also, yeah, I will say hello, Bonsai. Normally, I will. Well, the initial thing with the podcast was that it was going to be podcast first, chat second, but that kind of went away after podcast 3 because my guest there, Spicy Brit, is a very just chatting oriented streamer. And as a result, we just decided, you know what, fuck it, we're also going to reply to chat because you can see it on screen, so it's not going to be that bad to rewatch when on YouTube. But yeah, I feel like the most important question that we should start off with, Meeple, is how are you today?
Doing fairly well, actually. Yeah, I've had a very busy weekend of work.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm on a day off, which is lovely.
Yeah, that is really good. Yeah, also right now, I will say bit of a disclaimer. I've had a headache all day today, so if I seem a bit more drony as usual today, that's why. But yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah. We were actually talking legit before the stream started about a hypothetical question of what we would use instead of Twitter to promote streams uh, for the simple reason of, as of right now, there's a chance that Twitter has been purchased by Elon Musk. And we thought to ourselves, well, if their plan is going to be subscription based Twitter usage, then the one thing that I would want to do is go to a different website. So I feel like that's a discussion that we should absolutely table in hypotheticals. Be sure to answer in the chat what
Yeah.
you would use instead of Twitter.
I don't really know what the best options are now. Admittedly, I
Yeah,
am not someone who is particularly social media oriented. I'm
yeah.
quite
Neither
bad
am
at using
I.
social media, if I'm honest.
Weirdly enough, we are both streamers, and weirdly enough, we are also quite socially awkward. We have we do have our handful of streamers that we go and watch. Like, for example, Beth. We both know Precious Rogue, uh,
Yeah,
an absolute legend. That's how we met, actually,
yeah.
because
It was probably Sean Raid
yeah, it
Beth
was definitely
stream, I
Sean
assume.
raiding Beth, because I am a mod for Sean and have been for almost as long as I've been following Sean. I got it I followed her back when she started in October, but later that month. And then I got the mod in December, where it felt more like a make Chris mod chant with everyone being like make Chris mod. And we're not going to talk about how absent I am nowadays, but hey, it's the way of the world. So
It
that is
happens.
yeah, exactly. That is how we met, through her rating Beth. That's how I met Beth. She seemed like a really lovely person, and I saw that you were modding for Beth as well, I think, at the time.
Yes, so fun fact, assuming that that was the first raid that Sean did to Beth, which was
Yeah.
I think that was like 60 odd people in that raid. I'd only been made mod earlier that stream because all of the other mods weren't there.
Yeah,
So
that does tend to be how it goes, doesn't it?
became a mod, and then immediately the biggest raid onto best channel ever, where suddenly I'm panicking. Obviously wasn't, but at the time the whole hate raids issue was kind of a thing.
Yeah,
So immediately alarm bells start going off for me, and I'm like, I don't
yeah.
know how to stop this if this is bad.
But
Luckily not. Sean is a
luckily,
wonderful person, but
yeah. Luckily, it was the opposite of a hate raid. It was a love raid from lovely people.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird.
I'm not sure that love raid is a phrase we should use again, though.
Yeah, we're not going to use
Not,
that phrase
not
again.
sure.
um, wholesome raid, wholesome raid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's better.
yeah, exactly. It's weird though thinking about it because that is how Sean and Beth like. I'm pretty sure that's how they met as
That's how they
well.
met, yeah.
And the funny thing is, like, you and I mod for both streamers, and now those two streamers have been in the same household together in streams
Oh, yeah,
frequently.
like they frequently do collaborative streams as well.
Yeah,
Like,
like, it just shows that at the end of the day, Twitch, you choose, like, home is where you make it. And
yeah,
home is, and the people in your home are whoever you welcome into it. That is how you get collaboration. Collaboration. Oh, it takes two.
I
Uh,
have not played It Takes Two, but I'm very aware of that
yeah,
book.
that bloody book. Cookie and I played like 2 or 3 streams worth last week, and
Right, okay.
the fucking book was like we're going to kill that book. That's what we're going to do. That's our mission.
Now, I'm probably about to like seem like the worst person to be doing a gaming slash streaming related podcast right now when I ask this question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is It Takes Two online multiplayer as well as couch co-op then?
Yeah, you can have online multiplayer
Okay.
with couch co-op because I'm pretty sure that's how Sean and Alex, aka Winfarthing, did their playthrough of
Yeah,
it.
I forgot that they did that.
Yeah,
But it was something I wanted to ask because I was quite interested when it came out in A Way Out, which was
yeah,
another kind of split screen co-op based one. But at the time of launch, that one was couch co-op only. I believe they have changed that since.
yeah,
But it was a case of like when it came out, I was like, "I'll get it," and then like, "Oh, it's couch co-op only." I have no
yeah.
one to play that with, so no.
And then they changed it to online. I'm not sure how long
Yeah,
after it was released, but they did change it to online at some
I know it
point.
wasn't at launch, but that's the
Yeah,
only thing I can say.
it's like how bloody Vanguard. It's like in Vanguard Zombies, Call of Duty Vanguard. It's released without an effective pause button. Basically, you can pause the game, but the game will keep going. So you can still get attacked, you can
Even
still get killed
even in single player?
in single player. And
Why?
now,
Why is that a
this is
thing?
the best part. They updated it so you can have a pause button, but the pause lasts a maximum of 2 hours. Which means if you are a speedrunner in Call of Duty Zombies, or if you're a high rounder like I try to be, you would not be able to pause overnight and continue your run.
Wow. Is
Yeah,
that is that like just to ask this as well because again this might be a dumb question but I'm not really a Call of Duty person. When you say a 2 hour pause, is that like once you pause it, there's a 2 hour timer on that pause, or is it like if that
on
expires, you have to like re-buy a downloadable content pause thing?
it's one of
Like after you
those
pause the game for collectively 2 hours.
yeah, it's the I'm pretty sure it's the first option. I don't
Yeah,
know if it's like across the entire like game time where you get 2 hours on that one game, and then like you can unpause, and then you get another 2 hours when pausing again, or if it's a case
yeah,
of you just got 2 hours throughout the entire game, and once you die, then you die. Uh,
yeah.
I'm not sure how that works because I personally don't have Vanguard, but I've seen it in action. I've seen how it
Yeah.
works. Um,
The last Call of Duty game I personally played was Cold War, and that was primarily because it was
ooh,
just in the bundle with my PS5 when I got it.
okay, that's fair.
So
Yeah, I mean, even then, Cold War Zombies, people like it, but I'm not a fan personally because there comes a point where the zombies become faster than the player, and I'm just not about that life.
I'm just bad at zombies.
Yeah, like
I'll be
I'm
honest.
used to the Golden Age, like World at War, the first three Black Ops games in terms of zombies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did Black Ops 2 zombies a lot.
Oh, Black Ops 2 zombies. It's its 10th.
Oh,
I say this every time that it's brought up this year, but it's its 10th birthday in November. Like,
nice. Wonder if they'll
and
do a remaster of it.
I want them to do it in 2025 because that's when the game's set. Like
True.
it's set in
Yeah.
2025. It would just be perfect. And if they don't
I
do
mean, it
it,
would, but that'd be what its 13-year anniversary.
yeah, but it's a lot better than no and I hope it's a remaster, not a remake. Because if they were to remake it, they would probably just change it up so much that it wouldn't even resemble a Black Ops game. Uh,
It-
yeah, so I would much prefer it if they did a full-on remaster. Uh, and have it be like, modern day graphics and as little microtransactions, please and thank you. Uh,
that is never going to happen with Activision.
oh
That's
yeah,
real
it
wishful
is
thinking.
Activision. I mean, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it's getting purchased by Microsoft, right? So there's every chance that they
Yes.
might buck up a bit.
Yeah, Activision is being purchased by Microsoft, I believe.
Yeah.
So, will that make it a console exclusive? Who knows?
I hope they don't make it a console exclusive because the moment they do that, there's without a doubt Sony will buy Rockstar and make GTA 6 an exclusive.
It
And
it'll it yeah, it opens a worrying potential of it just becoming a case of Sony and Microsoft trying to buy every other company to
yeah,
gain exclusivity rights. And
exactly.
I'm going to be honest, I don't like that because I really don't like the idea of the quote unquote console wars. Like this
Yeah,
idea that you can like PlayStation or you can like Xbox, but you can't possibly like both, and whichever camp you're in, you have to like aggressively defend that
yeah.
you two people who
As
like the other
a
one.
as a person
Why?
who as a person like who grew up as one of those people, like but that's the thing, I was a kid when that all that stuff
Yeah,
happened.
like
But then I
and
grew up and
and
thought, I like video games. And I'm at a point where just simply due to the pricing of everything, I prefer Nintendo over the three.
see even that I'm on the fence with because while I agree. I assume your main point is that Nintendo games generally are cheaper at launch than Xbox or
And
PlayStation
not just
games.
that, they're online. Their standard, basically gold membership,
True,
their
yeah,
standard online is £20 a year compared to Sony's and Microsoft's £50 a
like
year.
50 to 60, yeah,
Yeah.
and PlayStation's going up now.
Yeah. I
But
remember, like,
the,
just to quickly have a
it,
small tangent on that,
it's
uh,
fine.
Microsoft tried to do that with Xbox Live. Everyone legit was like boycott Microsoft, and they changed it back to £50 a year. Uh,
I I don't know how successful Sony's is going to be. I think it very much relies on what games they start putting out through that this system that they're adding.
yeah, their new version of Game Pass, well, their own version of Game Pass.
Yeah, basically Sony Game Pass.
Yeah,
Like if they put good stuff on it, then it might do well. Like if the PS2, PS1, and PS3 back catalog they're going to add to that is going to be like all the Jack and Daxters and the Ratchet and Clanks, and I mean honestly, I would buy it immediately if they announced that the Sly Cooper games were going to be on that
hmm.
because those games were amazing and I loved them.
If
But
they brought OG
if they
Ratchet and
put
Clank to it, I would absolutely go
yeah,
get a
like
PlayStation.
that's the thing. They have a lot of games they could put on it that would make it work fantastically well. But at the same time, if all they do is put out things like, the original Crash Bandicoot again, despite the fact they put out the remaster recently, no one's gonna buy it.
And not just that, the remastered trilogy is now on Xbox, and
It
also
is
it
and
works better.
PC
It works more
and
functionally.
Switch.
And Switch, oh yeah, it
Yeah, you
is.
can get you can get the Insane Trilogy on Switch.
Yeah, and you can't.
It's
I'm pretty sure you can
incredible.
get Crash Team Racing as well on Switch.
Yeah.
Which with Mario
I
Kart 8
don't know if
Deluxe,
Crash 4 is on it.
yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I'm pretty sure it will be if it's not already. Uh,
Mm.
Speaking of which, I feel like that's a good question to ask. What was your first ever video game that you remember playing?
Ironically enough, um, I mean, the first one I remember playing like properly and getting into that I owned was, funnily enough, Crash Bandicoot 2. Um, we my family was lucky enough basically to win a PlayStation 1 on a radio film contest.
That is a
Um,
very that's a very
yeah,
uh
this was like back in
the
the
90s.
late 90s.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we were like the first people in our street to get one, so like all of the neighborhood kids would always come around to our house and play games, and the main game we had at that point was Crash Bandicoot 2. Um, Saying that, I do remember playing Tetris on my cousin's Game Boy quite a lot when I was younger. That's the first game I can clearly remember playing on that. I might have played other games, but yeah.
Yeah.
Weirdly, Tetris and Crash Bandicoot 2, which are significantly far apart in terms of release date times.
Yeah, that is certainly like I'm pretty sure like Tetris like was one of the well, it's not one of the first games, but it was one of the first games that really drew notoriety in the
Yeah.
mainstream.
The original Tetris, I think, was on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
That would
There was a copy of it for that. It just
blimey.
became better known on the Game Boy version because it was portable, I guess.
And now in 2022 we have Tetris 99 on the Switch.
I'm
What
so bad at Tetris 99.
same? I'm pretty sure the highest I've gotten is like 15th, and I've only got there once. Like, good lord, it is tough.
I think I won a game of Tetris 99 once, but it was like the week that Tetris 99 launched, so no one really understood how to play it.
Yeah.
You could just be that person in a lobby full of people who had no idea what was going on
Yeah,
and
and here's the
get lucky.
thing with a
You,
visual demonstration, you'd think that this would be to, you'd think that going up and down would rotate it. You would not think that going up would place it down. You'd think
yeah,
that A is the one to place it down, not the one to rotate, which is
yeah.
odd.
It, I assume that that is them harkening back to the original Game Boy and possibly NES/SNES controls. Because I think on the Game Boy edition, at least, you could press up on the D pad to instantly play something. And
Yeah,
obviously, on the Game Boy, you only had A and B as your buttons, you didn't have X and Y. Um, and I think both of them rotated it the same way as well, which was really bizarre.
yeah.
Like, you would have
Oh,
felt like they might have bothered to put in enough tech to go, okay, so A will move it clockwise and B will move it anti clockwise. But no, they both went the same direction.
yeah. What I love though the most about Tetris as a concept is that it goes so silly, like in terms of spin-offs. Like you'll see it somewhere in a game that has nothing to do with Tetris. Like Mario Party DS has a Tetris section, and it's a
I
Mario
did not know
Party
that.
game. Like,
Ah, Mario Party, the breaker of friendships.
yeah. Now I think Mario Kart is that. Mario Party is the breaker of um trust, I would say.
I think both of them are quite bad for ruining friendships, to be honest.
Yeah. Mario ruins friendships, guys. That is the sole
Yeah,
takeaway of this one podcast. Mario
yeah. If
just
if
breaks
you want to
friendships.
lose all of your friends, play a multiplayer Mario game.
Yeah. Like that's the thing.
Job done.
Like Call of Duty, like it's like you play against each other, but it's always a get good sort of situation. And then you get to
Yeah.
Mario games and it's just luck. And if luck is not on your side, things are getting thrown.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like Call of Duty, I can play a game of Call of Duty, and I can very much understand why someone is better than me. I can
Yeah.
look at what's happening, and I can go, that person is better at this game than me. Whereas, yeah, I feel like
And then you end up
Both
in
Mario Kart and Mario Party, like Mario Kart has a skill curve to it, don't get me wrong.
yeah.
Learning how to drift and gain boosts and how to, correctly deploy items and shields and things like that is a learning curve. Mario Party, on the other hand, is pure random number generator and
Yeah.
mini game luck. That's it. You can't learn to be good at Mario Party.
Yeah, especially in the more recent games, like going back to Mario Party. Yes, they had like games like Camera Shy, where it's more of a you run into them and quick draw like who presses the camera button first.
Yeah.
But now it's more okay. Which string are you going to choose? Are you going to get flung or not?
Oh
And
yeah, the bungee cord game.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh
Like so much of it is just like pick a random number and hope it's not the one we booby trapped.
yeah, oh, and then
Which I mean, it's certainly a game type. I can't fault that.
yeah.
But
Also, like when it comes to that, it's just yeah, luck based, and then you blame it on something that isn't the game. Uh, and but then
I always
again,
blame Donkey Kong. It's very rarely his fault, but I blame Donkey Kong.
yeah, oh, it's like me getting antagonized by Peach on Mario Kart. Oh, bloody hell! And
Your rivalry with Peach in Mario Kart is incredible.
yeah, like no matter what, it could be regular Peach, which it usually is. It could be Cat Peach. It could be Pink Gold Peach. Some point they will antagonize me. Like it could
Yeah.
even be Baby Peach, and at some point they will antagonize me. I'll be so close to first, end up in second, or better yet, I'll just get shelled, bananas, shelled,
Yeah.
horn, and then I end up in last with nothing. And then I get a box, and it's not a bullet bill. It's not a lightning bolt. It's not even a golden mushroom. It's triple mushrooms
Yeah.
in last place, and I have a
Then you
command.
boost off the side of Rainbow Road.
Yeah. Oh, and that's
Have you ever dared to play through a cup on Mario Kart where the NPC include every Peach variant?
honestly when it comes to that, I don't know how like if there's a specific way to set it as that, but I have done it
I
with at
don't know.
least
Yeah.
two or three variants, and it's always regular peach that is there. No matter
Right.
what,
Okay.
regular peach is always there, and I'm just like, no, piss off, peach, which is how the phrase first came along. Hashtag piss off
Yeah.
peach. Um, yeah, like you could probably make a good 5 to 10 minute video on the amount of times that Peach has done something to antagonize me or has put fear in my heart. Uh, yeah, like if you need a way to like the thing is, I was on a chat show, and when it was CK's chat show at the start of this month, and
Right.
he normally like asks a funny question, and the question he asked was obviously my thing with lemonade, which is also a running joke on my channel where I say lemonade is fizzy because everyone in America just denies it. Or how Jaffa cakes are cakes, or something along that
Yeah.
line. But I was so scared that he was going to say something about Peach. I thought he was going.
Speaking,
I thought he was going.
sorry, this is a really random tangent, but you talking about lemonade and Americans denying that it's fizzy.
Yeah,
I get where they're coming from with that. However, I only recently found out what apparently Americans mean when they refer to something as being apple cider.
yeah,
That's just apple juice.
yeah. I mean, the way they pretend like their name for cider is just juice, and then you realize that our version of cider is what they call hard cider. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
why not just call it juice and then call
So
that cider?
they have hard cider, then they have apple cider, which is what we would call apple juice, and then they often have sparkling apple cider, which, for all intents and purposes, I have to understand is essentially Portango.
Oh yeah, and that
It's just fizzy apple
if you think
juice.
about it, that'll be a fucking disaster if an American came here asked for cider when they were
Oh
driving.
yeah. Like,
Like,
if they went to a pub and were like, "I'd like an apple cider, please," they would get served alcohol.
yeah, and if they have to drive, disaster, plain
Mind you, that was
disaster.
that was something we used to have fun at when I was at the game cafe. Is we'd get quite a lot of American tour groups in. Well, not tour groups, but like American students and tourists and things like that. And they'd ask us if we sold chips. And I was like, okay, so to
Oh,
clarify, when you say that,
in the UK,
what are you talking about?
okay, so in the UK, to explain to everyone from America, chips
Yes.
are fries. But
Yes, chips are what you would call fries in
when
America.
Americans say the word chips, we would ourselves think crisps, aka potato
Yes.
chips. So as a result, I remember, like legit, like last week, another streamer, Ignore Me Please for Real, he talked about how he was in like an airport and he asked for chips, and he was giving fries when he meant crisps. And the thing is, he's not
Yeah.
American; he's from South Africa, which means that,
Right. Okay.
which is kind of interesting because like when you judge a South African accent, to me it did not sound too different from a British accent. Like I wouldn't. It would
So,
be too far fetched to hear it from the UK and think
yeah.
he's British. So for them to use the word chips is what made me think, that is very interesting that you use the term chips, uh,
Yeah.
and not crisps.
Unaware that that was uh that phrase also was used in South
Yeah, I
Africa. Yeah.
think honestly, we are the odd ones out on this occasion. On this one
Quite
occasion,
possibly.
I think we are the ones who say crisps and not chips.
Yeah.
Uh, but still,
Oh well.
lemonade is fizzy, and anyone who denies it, they're going. I'll have them climb up a wall, and then they'll have to shout it at the top of their lungs with a flag, which just has bar like the brand bar lemonade in a can. That is what I will do to secure the sanctity of my lemonade. Uh, yeah, and speaking of streamers and speaking of like little things that
Yeah.
you can associate with a streamer, like Lemonade and Princess Peach, um, I would say like when it comes to video games, they are like certainly like a surrogate for a lot of like little things that you see in video games. Because for example, Beth has like a Lombax emote.
Yep.
My running joke of "I am that duck" as is stemmed from a quote from a video game. What do you like? Is there
I
anything
didn't
like
know that one.
what was that?
I don't know where I am that duck comes from.
In Call of Duty Zombies, there is a map called Revelations, and a character called Dr.
Right.
Monty talks about an analogy about how he is basically a god, but
Oh,
he's
right. Yeah.
like on the surface, he's and peacefully swimming around a lake. Underneath,
Yeah.
it's like I'm pedaling a fucking bicycle up a mountain. Well, that's me right now. I am that duck. And that is the quote that has caused several emotes and a sound alert.
Yeah.
Uh, and by the way, I stole a sound alert idea from one of your streams, and it's the Dalek. Would you care for some tea? Because
Yeah.
it's Doctor Who,
Yep.
it's tea. It
Very
just
British.
it just makes sense. uh, would you say that there's something that you would associate with your channel, or something that wouldn't be the case without like a running joke on your channel?
So the main one is probably actually the branding of my channel at the minute. Which
Really?
is yeah, so my channel is and equally my Discord server and things like that are referred to as the Meeple Train. Um that was never an intended thing that I was going to call my channel. I want to preface this as well. I have no kind of vested interest in trains or train related paraphernalia. I am not a train spotter or anything like that. Um,
Did you grow up
it
watching
basically,
Thomas the Tank Engine?
I mean, I did, but that's about as much as that happened. However, the Meeple Train is why there is a sound alert on my channel, which is the just the tank engine theme. Um,
I mean,
but
if you're going to do it, you
that,
got to do it right. Am I right? Like, you got to do it
yeah,
right.
yeah. But that one in like one of the first streams I did, uh, where I was talking about something. I think weirdly the subject had got onto my social slash love life, or more importantly, the lack thereof of those things. Um, and a user in my chat, known as Gareth, one half of Garmily Gaming. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not,
Yeah,
but
I
I'll give them a shout out.
don't have the I don't have the privilege. I think it's without the underscore. Yeah. I
Yes.
haven't had the privilege of visiting their streams frequently or recently
Yeah.
either, but I know who they are.
But yes, basically, he jokingly made a reference to uh, me basically calling myself the Meeple Train. And I basically said I've never called myself that. To which he called me a coward, and just eventually span into the entire
I
branding
think
of my channel
just
becoming
out
the
of
Meeple Train.
spite.
Yeah, he was like, "You've
Oh,
called me a cow." I was like, "You've called me a cow. Now I have to do this." So that has happened.
the thing
Now,
is, with your name being Meeple, I would think you'd heavily go into the Beeples from Oxventure, which would be, you
no,
know.
I've decided not to try and piss off Oxventure. I quite like them, so I don't want to make them grumpy stealing their products.
Yeah,
But yes, there is an emote for my channel, which is the Meeple Train. Which I should be able to actually pop in your chat at the minute
yeah, you should.
if I can get to my own emotes, which are an annoyingly long way
Uh,
down my emote list,
how often do
which
you
is
tend to use your own emotes compared to other
not
streamers?
very often.
Yeah,
I
like,
will sometimes put my emotes into raid messages, but that's about as much as I use mine. And to be honest, mine
yeah,
aren't incredibly universal
yeah, that's fair.
at the minute, anyway.
I mean,
Um,
I feel like the most universal one I have when it comes to all my emotes is this one, Duck Rage. And the thing is,
um,
someone confused it for a chicken because it's yellow, but that's because of the filter that I had on it.
rude. But yeah, the so yeah, the Meeple Train is very much a aspect of my channel that has just kind of spawned on my channel. It wasn't an intended thing or a planned thing. It just kind of happened. Um, Equally, another one. This is a more recent one. Um, for some reason, the other week I was doing a stream and I had to basically go to a be right back screen for a minute. And for some reason, my mind decided it would be a great idea to tell chat not to be too frisky in my absence. I have no idea why I picked that word,
Uh-oh.
but there is that like snowballed out of control so quickly.
Oh.
To the point where I now have to commission my emote maker to make a frisky emote. I don't know what form it's going to take.
Oh.
I'm scared to try and plan what that's going to be. But yeah, apparently that is being forced upon me as part of my channel
I hope to
now.
God it's not a GIF
Um,
emote. Oh,
no, it will be a static image.
yeah.
Part of me is tempted to try the fox from Tunic in it, just because I think that would be appropriate in some way. I don't know. I haven't really worked it out.
Yeah.
Um, and equally, the sound alert of the T Dalek um, has created an emote that for some reason is currently missing from my list of emotes, despite the fact that I put it up for approval last week. I don't really know what's happened with that. Um,
They denied it.
but
Like
I've created
savages.
some new, yeah, possibly. But I've had my emote um maker, my emote artist, basically create some emotes that are various meeples. They are also going to be used for sub badges, but one of them is a Dalek because of that sound alert.
I mean, if you got to go, like, that's the thing. Like, Doctor Who is like a cultural phenomenon, and
Yes.
like, if you like it, you've got to have something related to it.
Yeah.
It could be a TARDIS, it could be a doll, it could be a Cyberman.
So like the Daleks in there, there's also going to be a Marvel related one because again, Marvel
Well,
has
yeah,
or
absolute
my
wonderful.
my excessive infatuation with Marvel has become quite a big part of my channel.
Yeah, like
Um,
I feel like we have a lot of like likes and dislikes in common because we both like Doctor Who, we both
yeah,
like MCU, we both like Mario Kart, even if we want to kill it half the time.
God, yeah,
Yeah, like I feel like that's what made this interesting because I know that we have a lot alike when it comes to like that sort of things, but when it came to like out of all the guests that I've currently had, you are certainly the person that I've known the least about in terms of like how you got to this point. So
yeah. I mean, getting into streaming was very much a semi-random occurrence. I'm not going to say it was fully random because it wasn't like I just one day went, I'm going to start streaming today, and that was it. but it became a thing of some friends of mine, basically Garmally Gaming, I know in person, and I knew them for several years before they were streaming, and I kept seeing them advertise themselves on Facebook and Twitter, going, we're streaming, come along, follow us, and what have you. So I set up my Twitch account using a username I had never used before under MeepleOfBritain, which was partly also so they wouldn't know the second I turned up who I was, because I kind of wanted to see how their streams went and things like that. From that, I met um, a group known as the Spicy Sad Squad, who were basically a group of people who had met through Luke Westerway's streams during the lockdowns of 2020. And basically, from there, I just met a lot of other people who were streaming, and I was like, it looks like fun. These guys all seem really nice and friendly and, welcoming. So
Yeah.
I just kind of talked to some of them and was like, if I was thinking about doing this, how would be best to get started? Around the same time, I managed to luck into getting a PlayStation 5. So my original streams were just off of the console. There was no face cam. My PC wasn't involved in it at all. It was just me directly streaming from a PlayStation and watching chat on my phone. Um, Turns out, by the way, that's a bad way to stream.
Oh yeah,
That is a very
absolutely.
that is a very awkward way to stream. Do not recommend it to anyone who wants to get into streaming. If you want to get into streaming, please, for the love of God, get a PC that can handle streaming and prioritize PC gaming because it is so much easier.
Yeah, that's the thing, and like you can still like stream from a console using like a capture device and just have a
Oh
standard
yeah,
PC. Like I like that's
I've
currently my setup. Like it's a standard
I bought
i5.
a cheap capture card.
Yeah, and it's like it's an H260 Pro because I do have an H260S, but to anyone who knows me from the early days of streaming, that motherfucker just kept disconnecting to the point where I was like, I give up on this shit. Like it would go like half an hour and then like perish immediately. Like
Yeah.
I could restart the PC as many times as I want, and it would just still happen. So I got a new one, and it's not disconnected since. So yeah,
See,
investment.
when I first started using my PC for streaming, I was trying to use whatever the PlayStation streaming system is
I think
called.
it's called SharePlay or something like that.
Yeah, like SharePlay or Remote Play or whatever it is. Basically, I was trying to use that. It is an awful system. Sony have not invested well in setting that system up. It is
I'm not
very bad.
sure if I'm certain on this. I don't know if I feel like Sean, when I first saw her stream, she was using the same thing,
Yeah.
and then she eventually got a capture card.
Yeah, this is the thing. I ended up buying I think I paid £25 for my capture card. Like, it's not a high end capture card at all, but it's better than SharePlay or whatever it's called. So I was just like, sod it, 25 quid, I can spare that. Let's just get a capture card so that I don't keep losing footage.
Yeah,
Because all that would happen was I'd play a game for 20 minutes, and then SharePlay would go, I've stopped working. And I'd go, great. Now I have to
yeah,
stop the entire stream temporarily while I fix the issue.
and that's
And then
another
25 later, bam, there he goes again.
that's another good bit of advice is if you're going for a capture card, you don't have to go expensive off the start. You can go for something like 20
Yeah,
quid, 30 quid. Like I went
like,
expensive because I'm an idiot and didn't trust anything that wasn't Elgato, but uh, you know, for like 20 quid, 30 quid, if you're intending
yeah.
to do streaming in the long term, it's a good start.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, like, with the exception of my PC and my consoles, not factoring those into how much I've spent on streaming because I owned those already, most of the gear I have bought for streaming has probably come less than £100. Like
Yeah.
grand total. The headset was about 30. The webcam, I think, was only about 30 again. My capture card was 25 quid. So, like, and by no means am I saying that my setup is the best way you could do it. It is far and away from being the best way you can do it. I don't have a dedicated microphone. My microphone is built into the webcam that you are currently watching me through.
I bet
So
like no one could
there's
tell the difference between my microphone and your webcam.
oh yeah, yeah. I'd be very surprised if no one could tell the difference.
Yeah.
I don't think the quality is that good on it.
Honestly, it's a lot
But
better
yeah,
than
like
I've heard others. So
yeah, that's the thing. It's not bad, and I think people do sometimes get off because they see streamers that have 500 to 1,000 followers with these really professional setups and stream decks and all this sort of stuff, and they go, "I can't do that, so I'm not going to." No one expects you to start at that level.
yeah.
Anyone who expects that they're going to start at that level is getting into streaming for the wrong purposes as well, I feel.
Yeah, like there's not really a right way to like start streaming, but there's certainly a lot of wrong ways for why
Yeah.
to start streaming.
Mm.
Like, for example, this microphone I borrowed off my mother, and it didn't come with this clamp. It was on the desk. Like it was on the
Right.
desk on its own stand, so I had to lean forward if I wanted to speak loud enough or make my point clear, so that I didn't have to raise my voice.
Yeah.
And then like some amount of months later, I bought this, and it's the best thing that I've done because it's really upped the quality of my streams just from audio alone.
Yeah.
And like, uh, one thing I will say is that like I know a lot of people who use headset mics or webcam mics like you, and they set off with that, and they just you know they upgrade later. You don't like not everything is going to be top quality the moment you start. I was just lucky that my mum had this, and not something like I don't know, a headset,
Yeah.
quality mic. So I got lucky
And
on that end.
like you say, there isn't one right reason to get into streaming. There are lots of reasons you might do it, whether it's, you just feel like giving it a try, or you want to join in with people who stream or whatever. But there are definitely wrong reasons into streaming.
Yeah,
If your sole intention when you are starting streaming is to become, a
either fame or
dedicated
money.
full-time streamer, and you're doing it because you just want to do that, even that, I wouldn't necessarily say that's the wrong reason, but you might find that it's harder to come from that as your motivation because it takes a long time to get there.
Yeah, like
Like, I
that.
streamed for over 6 months before I made affiliate.
Yeah,
You know, I barely got to 100 followers inside of my first year. I just about did it. I counted that as a win because for me that was huge. I started streaming expecting to have like 15 followers.
yeah,
But, if I'd come into this expecting from day one I could somehow make streaming my full-time job, I would have given up before I hit affiliate.
yeah. Like that's the
And
thing.
that again might be personal, you know, that
Yeah.
to a point that's personal because everyone's got different levels of drive and motivation, and I very quickly get demotivated, and other people might not get demotivated as quickly, but it can be quite hard if that's why you're getting into it.
Yeah, like there are quite a few reasons, and reasons like start to pile up on top of each other. So my reason for streaming was never like at first it was never to you know, like grow a big community, but
Yeah,
it just became a thing the moment like I felt more determined that I was capable of it. So like at first it was like because I'm having fun, and if people are having fun watching me, then I'm like just one person watching me, then I am having fun, and I'm having fun, and they are feeling content with what they are seeing and what they are hearing, then that is enough for me. And that is still enough for me if it's just one person or 100 people. Which I mean, apart from for like a brief 5 minutes, it's never been 100 people at once. But my point still stands that yeah, I still have this ambition to create a community, uh, and make it as wholesome as I can, and make it as active as I can, and make people like make it more of a thing where I'm just a streamer making the streams. The community is for all, and everyone controls it to within reason. That has become like a goal for me, but like that's only been like what, like since like a few months ago. That's become a thing, not 18 months ago when I started out. And that's what I like to like. That's my perspective on it. Is that you can have these reasons to begin with, but you're not going to get far like having those as your core ambitions.
Yeah,
But if you have your core ambitions be because you enjoy it and you enjoy the concept of it and you enjoy the games you play, the people that you interact with, if there are people that are coming in, or if you just like thinking, this will be a nice thing to do, like just for the short term, no matter
yeah,
like how humble the reason might be, no matter how as long as it's something that will drive you every day, not just for like one push, but for every day, then that should be a good for me. That is the ideal reason why someone
yeah.
should be streaming. Personally,
I mean, like you say, like I wasn't coming into this expecting to get a community out of it or anything like that. I've met some wonderful people through streaming though, but that wasn't like an aim coming into doing this. That was just a lovely byproduct of being on stream. You know,
yeah,
um, I went to EGX in October and I met up with a lot of these people. And yes, I was too socially awkward to actually speak to most of them, but still,
yeah, and that's probably another like reason why I started streaming is that uh I could start streaming. I could do this, but I feel like one thing that it could do for me more than anything. This is my thoughts back then. If there's one thing that it could do for me more than anything, it's build up my confidence to speak.
yeah,
And yeah, in real life, I still have issues with it, but not nearly as crippling as they used to be because I spent over a year doing this, and I like a lot of my friends. Like I'd say, out of all the people that I still talk to, only two of them in my entire life I know in real life that I still talk to. Everyone else I met through Twitch. I haven't met and none of those I met in real life yet. I should really make a change for that, and I do plan to.
yeah,
But yeah, like you never know where your best friends will come from. You never know where your new friends will come from. Uh,
yeah.
and I feel
That's
like if there's just a small glimmer of hope that the one thing that you like to do might benefit you in more ways than enjoyment, then why not do it? That is my
yeah, and
yeah.
and it the other thing that I think Twitch has helped me with a bit more is like trying to push that bit outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because like when I started doing this, I didn't have face cam because I felt like, I didn't want to start out by just putting myself out there to that extent. And that came slowly, as did doing things like collaboration streams and things like that, because I just assumed that people would rather, either stream by themselves or stream with people they know than stream with that random guy that they met, 2 months ago in a Twitch chat somewhere. And even now, I mean, I haven't done them for a while, but I occasionally do miniature painting streams, which is it's a hobby. It's never something I've excelled at, I don't think.
Yeah.
I've watched some other miniature painting streams on Twitch, and my God, my stuff looks incredibly basic in comparison. But I enjoy streaming it, and it gives me a good focus for doing it because I have an incredibly large backlog of stuff I should be painting, and I'm not.
Yeah. But to be fair, you don't have to be a Sammy Kelch to enjoy art.
No.
That is like one thing that I mean I only said that line so that we could get a mention to Sammy Kelch
Yeah,
because why not? I'll give her
but
a
yeah,
shout. There you go.
if you enjoy what you're doing on Twitch, I think that speaks more than you trying to do something because you think it's what a Twitch audience will want to see.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong. Like the one thing that I did last week was to see what my community would want to would prefer when it came
Yeah,
to changing my schedule up. But like I found it
but
wasn't just that; it was also that I was enjoying it at the same
but
time.
e- and equally, I feel like there's a difference between every now and again going to your community and saying, "Okay, would you like to see out of these options?" And you know, you I don't know, randomly picking up Fortnite because you've seen that Fortnite is doing well on Twitch analytics at the
Yeah,
minute or something like that. Like going to your community and saying, okay, I want to play, I've done it before. I've gone, okay, I want to play a Lego game, but I don't know which one to play. Which one would you guys rather see out of this shortlist?
yeah, that is certainly a better like that is certainly a better way to go about it if you are going to ask your community what you want, because it's always like that's the thing uh we are still like we may be streamers, but we are still human beings and we can't read minds. So for us
Yeah,
to ask it is it's genuine. Like we say, would you prefer to see this? Would you prefer to see that? And any response that we get is always welcome and always
yeah,
appreciated. But it's also a thing of we sometimes we give you options saying would this be better, would that be better, and not only is that like a better way for you to personally do it because it's a short list and you would do anything on that list, but also like you're more likely to get an answer that way because they have an option between the selections that they
yeah.
could have. uh
And don't don't get me wrong as well. I think there is also a learning curve to sometimes working out what you might enjoy but may not stream as well.
yeah,
Like there are games, I'll admit there are a lot of games or a couple of games that I play that I really enjoy, but I know they're not particularly watchable.
yeah, I certainly get that as well. Like
So
there's a reason why I stream Minecraft very rarely, because it's an
yeah,
enjoyable calm game, but I know that's not what people would want to see
well,
or not necessarily
I
would
think
watch.
I think there's a point of Minecraft is a good game to stream. I think when you're going into it with a an objective to it.
Yeah,
When you're going in saying, okay, we're doing Minecraft and we're going to go fight the Ender Dragon, or we're going to build a giant castle, or whatever. But if your plan is just to go into Minecraft and wander around and build some stuff and see what you can find, that's not as enjoyable necessarily to everyone
yeah.
because unless they know you as a streamer and your personality and things like that, and they're tuning in more for that than for the game. But people who are just, scrolling through the Minecraft,
Yeah.
game category on Twitch may not be as interested or likely to stick around if you're just kind of randomly doing stuff.
Precisely, yeah. Like, and when it comes to also like big popular games like Minecraft or Fortnite, it's also a case of there are so many big streamers streaming it. The chance of someone finding
Yeah.
it that way is going to be pretty low as well.
Yeah,
So
there's
yeah,
the let's be honest, and not to trash talk Twitch because Twitch is a very good service that is completely free of charge. But at times its discoverability and algorithms are not always in favor of the small streamer.
yeah. And that's why raids are probably like the best, like my personal
Yeah.
favorite thing about Twitch. And I remember like there was a tweet from a person that I was also on the chat show with called We Two Are Venom saying how much
Yes.
he disagreed with the concepts of raids and how they could be used for selfish reasons.
Yeah. I
But
think he
yeah,
he he talked about raids and hosts,
yeah,
and to a point, I kind of agreed with his point on hosts
yeah,
because
because they are not useful at all. Because at the end of the day, why would a person watch an offline channel?
yeah, that I think is the thing is hosting. It sounds like a good idea, but that implies that you have random people going to your channel when you're not
Yeah,
live. And
I tell
let's
you
be
what would be
honest, given
good.
the amount of
A nice little solution for that would be notifications, like not notifying people on their phones where someone's going live, but if you're on the
Yeah.
site, notify them saying, "Hey, Outcast
So
Chris
yeah,
is
so and so
hosting
is
Meeple of
hosting.
Britain."
Yeah.
You know, that'll be
Because
pretty nice.
yeah, like hosts, it's a clever idea, but yeah,
In execution,
unless you are a huge streamer, no one's really going to your channel when you're not live.
yeah, and that's how I can catch out bots because if I don't know the accounts, and if they are there before I go live, they get banned. Because of course,
Yeah,
because
I've done that with some. I don't do it with all because I know like some of them are, like harmless bots. I think there's one that's literally just another TTV user,
yeah,
which I think is actually a Twitch ran bot.
huh,
And
interesting.
it just kind of like lurks in chats to basically like work out how many people are live at a given time and what have you. I think it's one of their analytics bots really.
Huh.
But yeah, like some of them are just weirdly set up and I don't know who's making the bots because equally like Twitch knows their bots and half of them don't count towards your view stats anyway. So I
Yeah.
don't really know their purpose.
Yeah, like the only one that I can think of is Commander Root because of how much use that can be on the website, Twitch Tools by Commander Root, where you can,
Yes.
block bot accounts, you can get rid of followed users in the event of a follow
And then
bot.
I mean, equally, I have Seribot linked into my
Yeah,
channel,
which can
which is
also like
yeah,
it's either reverse spam or reverse like hate because it gets rid of like words.
yeah. It basically like it's it's linked to I think someone's like spreadsheet of like known troublesome bots and accounts that are often linked to like hate raids and things like that. And it keeps a watch in your chat, and if they show up, it will preemptively ban them. And it equally has tools to like shut down your chat or
Yeah,
completely clear the chat and things like that in the event of
yeah.
assholes showing up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Another thing about Twitch is that it takes independent people to fix these problems when,
Yeah,
and another thing that, like, I brought this up, like, the other day where it's like, we are supposed to be, like, per sub, we're supposed to be getting 50% of the total intake, right? Like, 50%
yeah,
of it. And we don't even get that because, it's like it's not even 3.99 because I was talking to it with my friend Lucas and he said, "Oh, it's 4.35 for me." To like £4 35
yeah.
I should mention, which means in return I should be getting if it's 3.99, one
You
pound
should be getting
ninety
over
nine.
£2.
Yeah, about
Yeah,
£1.99 at least of per sub. I'm instead getting
yeah. We don't.
$1.99, which is the equivalent of £1.46, which means
Yeah,
per sub I'm getting cheaped out of about 50p. And that's why you see these
easy money.
streamers go to Fan House or go to Patreon because
Yeah.
of the poor, uh, the poor amount that they receive from
Well,
Twitch.
it's yeah. Like I set up a coffee page.
Oh yeah,
I don't think I've had any donations through it, but I just kind of put it there because I'm like, I know that some people will prefer to not sub on Twitch and to potentially just donate a bit instead. And
yeah,
equally, then, I haven't set a minimum to it. So if people want to go on there and donate less than the standard sub fee, they can. They're not limited to, well, it's 3.99 or it's nothing.
yeah, exactly.
They get that luxury of choice.
And yeah, I feel like now that we are talking about streaming, and we also talked about
Yeah.
when you started. What we
Yes.
didn't talk about is like how long ago that was and what you did.
So, start of my stream was December 2020,
Ooh,
kind
nice.
of mid to late December at some point in 2020, because that was when I got my PS5, which was
Yeah.
how I initially was doing the streams. Um, One of the first games I actually streamed was Watch Dogs Legions. I have not revisited it because screw Ubisoft, um,
I mean, yeah, exactly.
for various reasons. Which let's not go into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, um, that was one of the first games I streamed. But the first game I like properly streamed was, funnily enough, Crash Bandicoot 4. Um,
It's about time.
which, yeah, look, I've grown up with the Crash Bandicoot franchise. I have to support it at this point.
Yeah.
It's like an obligation. Uh, but yeah, so I threw that, and people seem to enjoy watching me be, distinctly average at platform-based games. So that then evolved into, I think I did the remaster of Abe's Odyssey at one point on PC. Um, and then I started branching out to non-platform based games because I realized I'd done two of them in their entirety and that people might not want a third. Um, and then yeah, it's become, I guess, variety streamer is the best way to
Yeah.
explain it. Despite, you know, I
Thing-
feel like a lot of people use that, and
They
I'm
tend to
not even
just
sure if I'm.
their
Well,
variety
it's
is more like they focus on one thing.
yeah, it's an odd one because I feel like variety streamer should apply to someone who like changes their game every stream, because then it is a variety, isn't it? It is lots of different types of content
Yeah.
rather than what I do, which is essentially go, okay, we're doing that game and that game. This is the one we do on Wednesdays. That's the one we do Thursdays, and we'll play these until we finish them, and then they'll get swapped out for something
Oh,
else.
that's absolute. That for me, that is absolutely variety. If you're doing more than
I
just because there are like people who do battle royale only games,
Oh
or
yeah,
there are people who play
only do
just
FPSs.
yeah
Yeah,
just The Last of Us, for example. Like they just do story based games. They just do speed runs. They just
yeah,
do a certain amount of things. And yeah, so yeah, I say we both have that category of variety streaming,
yeah,
even though I specialize in COD Zombies. I haven't touched it in a while because I've made it a community challenge only, and I want to add more variety
yeah.
to my variety streams.
And I mean, I'll be honest. At the minute, I'm starting to delve into a Deep Rock Galactic streaming area because I keep going back to that game. It
Yeah,
basically has become the game I go to when I'm not really sure what I'm in the mood to stream.
yeah.
Um, and equally, I know they're doing a major update to it on Thursday, so I'm going to be streaming it again on Thursday because I want to see what this new update brings. But
Oh yeah,
I'm
like
also then getting to a point where I'm starting to worry that I'm doing too much of that one particular game. So it might then be a case of after that, I kind of roll back that stream type and throw some different stuff into the mix. I don't know. My
yeah.
schedule is incredibly fluid for
Yeah,
that.
exactly. And that's the thing, like you talked about like checking out your DLC and doing that
Yeah,
or like you get into like a certain game without really realizing it until you're, enjoying it so much. And that's the thing
yeah,
with streaming is that you're never going to end up in where you're going, where you think you are, whether it be for better or for worse or for no effects. Some days you will think, I'm going to try and schedule everything to have it be Red Dead one day, an indie game on Thursdays, for example, and then you end up like playing the same one game for like a week straight because you're just enjoying it. And
and
it's the fluidity. Like I don't think there's such thing as a streamer who thought they were where they were going to be.
yeah, and equally kind of on that point as well. I think that you can often get to a point, and I know I've done this, where I've kind of gone, okay, it's Monday. I'm going to now say, you know, this is the game I play on Wednesday. That's the game I'm playing on Thursday stream. That's the game I'm playing on Sunday stream. That's the plan for this week. But then you get to your Thursday stream and you go,
I
you
don't
know
feel like
what?
it.
I don't feel like playing that game.
Yeah,
I feel
and
like playing this game instead. And,
yeah.
why not?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like it's your stream. You choose what you stream. It's
Yeah,
just that everyone else. It's like I said, for the most part, they'll be there for your personality, so it doesn't really matter.
yeah,
That's the point of a community is that they are there for you or for like this community, the rest of the community that you've built.
yeah,
And one running joke that we have like that I know of with Spicy Brit is that she is a just chatting streamer that sometimes plays games, because she intends to play a game like Red Dead 2 or Subnautica, and she spends the first 5 hours just chatting.
Just talking, yeah.
Yeah, and it's because you do what you want. Like, you can be like
Yeah.
one of those content creators who keep to a strict schedule and somehow manage to make it entertaining every single time. But for most of us, it'll be a case of we do what we enjoy,
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter, like, if it's, like I said, one person or 100. As long as like people are willing to come back, then we are like, as long as we are willing to come back to the games, that's how streaming works for us. Uh, and yeah, like, I feel like when it comes to where like we end up with streaming and how things turn out for doing what you want, there will like come sometimes where like you feel like you want to do what you want, and you brought this up earlier,
Yeah.
but sometimes you can't do what you want
Yeah.
because you
Oh,
feel as if, like, or for a fact that people aren't going to like this. Uh,
well, yeah.
but that
But
comes with most things, doesn't it?
yeah, and kind of on that point, I think that applies to whatever type of streaming you're doing as well. If you're not doing gaming streaming, if you are a just chatting streamer and you just like talking about stuff, talk about the things you are interested in, you are passionate in. If you're doing music based streams, play songs that you want to play. Don't try and predict what it is your audience will want to hear,
Yeah,
because your audience will have much more fun if you are having fun. If you're
and
playing a game and you're not into it, or you're singing a song that you don't like, or you're, painting a painting because someone's asked you to do it, but it's not really something that you're that fussed about, I think it comes across. And I
yeah,
think that
it
can
shows.
put people off when if they find your stream on that one-off occasion, that can damage that person's perception of your stream because they
Exactly.
might think that's what all your streams are like.
Exactly, and like, I know that people on my streams, like certain people, like ask for more Red Dead 2. But the reality is, like, I need to get myself in the mood for Red Dead 2,
Yeah,
so that I, like, because I can't just play it weekly. Like, I can't just do Monday one day and then Thursday the next week. Because, like, what if I don't feel like it on Thursday or Monday? I need to, like, get myself in
yeah.
the mood for it, and especially if I'm going to do 100%, I can't just
Oh God, yeah.
get myself in the mood. I have to take my time with it and have the patience for it. That's why you see these other games being played instead. And like, if there's one thing that I can say, is that if you're going to be the person who predicts what your audience will like, streaming is not the place for that. If you want to do something like that, you upload videos on YouTube, or you
Yeah.
write a book. Streaming is its own, like, different entity where you do what you want and hope that other people will want that too. And that's the best
And
thing you
yeah,
can do.
and streaming, it's a lot more. It's. I mean, as someone who has tried creating YouTube videos, I tried and failed quite badly. I made one YouTube video on the channel that exists with my branding on it, and yeah, like, that one video, I think I filmed it in like March, April time of the year, and just going through editing it down and taking out all the boring bits that I knew weren't going to make the cut and things like that took me till the October of the same year,
Yeah,
because
you can either
it isn't an easy thing to do.
yeah, like, you can either, like, take your time and have a good video that is like 2 minutes long at that point, or you can have a trimly cut, like a very poorly cut edit like I used to do on my YouTube videos that will last 8 minutes. And
Yeah,
either way, you're not going to end up with the product that you want, and that's why I took up streaming myself, because YouTube wasn't really videos weren't really my cup of tea at the time. And so that's why when you look on my YouTube channel, it's now the wanted streaming podcast for the past ever since December. Well, ever since either December or January, when it must have been New Year's, because I'm pretty sure I did that intentionally for New Year's,
yeah,
where basically I cut off the intro, I cut the ending of it a little bit, and the rest of the podcast is unedited because it's a podcast. If you edit anything beyond what is being talked about, then, or yeah, edit what is being talked about, then that's not a podcast, that is a video.
Well, I mean, you can do edited podcast.
A
It's
lot
a
harder.
lot
It's a lot more
trickier to
formatted
do.
as well.
Yeah, because if you want to make it seem natural and off the cuff, you have to find the points that you can cut out and still make it sound like it's a flowing conversation.
Yeah.
If you suddenly, taking this one for an example, if you suddenly cut out the long tangent that we go on at various points in this, it
It's
doesn't sound like
it
a
doesn't
natural
flow.
flowing conversation because eventually you'll find that someone references something in a bit that you want to keep that was in a
Yeah.
bit that you've cut out, and now it seems weird because they say like, "Oh, as we were talking about earlier," but that's not there now.
Yeah.
So you didn't talk about it earlier, but then to try and cut out that one snippet of, as we said earlier, there's going to be a weird jump in that conversation,
Yeah, exactly. And
and it just kind of snowballs in this kind of quite awkward way of having to then work out what has to be in the cut to make later bits make sense and things like this.
yeah, and especially like considering I do these monthly, and as a result, I'm doing like this is being streamed now, but chances are I'm not going to be editing this until the end of the very end of the month.
Yeah,
And so I'm going to forget some of the things that we talk about, or like some of the tangents that we go on, and then I eliminate. If imagine if I just eliminated that and then realized that it's pivotal to a conversation we make later. So that's
yeah,
why, like I like doing live podcasts because it's not much editing time, and like I said, you can see the chat on screen. So if we do respond to chat, then you can watch it back on YouTube, and it'll be no problem.
yeah. It makes sense in that context. Yeah,
Precisely.
I
And
mean,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say like one of my aims here. It's not going particularly well, given that we're fast approaching the fifth month of the year and it's not much further on than it was in January. But I want to. One of my aims was that I wanted to try and do a tabletop RPG based stream thing with members of the community, and that I'd potentially convert that to a YouTube format so that people can watch it later. But like by the sounds of it, you do with this, it would be a case of maybe cutting out some bit at the start where I just waffle on about random stuff about the Twitch channel that people on YouTube aren't going to care about. I
Yeah.
probably wasn't going to edit it much. It was just going to be a straight lift of here's the video. Maybe I cut out, a little bit here or there, or if we take a break halfway through, I can cut around that. But that's going to
Yeah.
be it.
And
It's not going to
honestly,
be a heavily cut back.
that would be honestly a good idea because if you remember like the early days of Critical Role,
Yeah,
they were live and you could see the chat on the
yeah,
screen. And they did have these breaks, but they didn't edit it out. But you
no.
like there's a chance that you could because during that time, you can choose to
Well,
pause
yeah,
whenever you wish.
and
So
it worked for them to a point because at least during its early days, Critical Role was part of the Geek and Sundry channel,
yeah,
and they had other stuff that they liked to advertise in that gap. And it then meant that when it went to YouTube, why not keep those adverts in for the other content that's on their YouTube page?
precisely.
Because
And
it's just
yeah,
a rolling advert that you keep in there. And sure, most people watching that video probably do skip through that bit of the video.
yeah, and that's the thing.
But
Like because like you wouldn't be sponsored or you wouldn't have like adverts or anything else to advertise. You could just
yeah,
cut that bit off like from the break. And like I said, on YouTube you can pause whenever you want. If you were to do it
yeah,
on Twitch, then you would either be so far behind that you can't even respond to the
yeah.
conversation, or you'd just be resumed to the modern day, missing everything that was just said. Uh,
Saying that though, what I have found odd. This is weirdly gentle and based on the Critical Role stuff. Is because of where I work at the minute, I have quite a long commute, so I'm listening to podcasts on my way to and from work, and I've been listening to a lot of Critical Role. And what I find odd about their audio podcast is when they go to that break, they have this weird. So they have like an intro bit, which is Matt Mercer or one of the other kind of voice actors going, welcome to Critical Role. We stream every Thursday, etc., etc., etc. before the episode starts. But then when they get to the point in the middle where they go for a break, that voice actor comes back and is like, "Oh yeah, welcome back to Critical Role," and I'm like, "But this is an audio podcast. I haven't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
You've just randomly put sound clip in the middle of your episode that says welcome, but you're listening to Critical Role. Now we go back to the action." It's like, but you've literally been gone like 5 seconds from my
Yeah.
perspective.
It's
This
like
doesn't need to exist.
it's like imagine like you and I were roommates. We both we're both in the living room. I say I'm gonna go and get a cup of tea. And then you say, okay, see you in a moment. And I forget to ask how many sugars. I come back and you're like, welcome back.
Yeah, like it's a really weird, it seems really forced, and I know they've done it because it's easier for them probably to cut from the audio of the video file to a pre-recorded audio bit and then back into the video file than just chopping a bit out of the video file. But it just feels weirdly
Yeah.
forced.
It feels like, I mean, they are voice actors. So it wouldn't,
Yeah.
like, for them to be, very scripted about it, it makes sense, but I am more of a improviser in that sense. And oh dear,
Oh, yeah,
Princess Peach.
definitely so. Oh god,
uh,
he's here.
oh, she's here. She's out to get me. You see. Uh, yeah. But yeah, like when it comes to podcasts, like the thing with podcasts is that like streaming back in the pandemic, everyone was trying to do them,
Yeah.
and I'm
Well,
here guilty of both.
it's an easy thing to do when you
Yeah,
have to
when you
be at
have
home the whole time. Why
yeah,
not make
exactly.
an audio podcast or a video podcast or whatever it is?
I'm pretty sure the Ox Ventures did podcasts while the pandemic while lockdown
Yeah.
was still a thing, and they started their
Well, yeah,
podcasts to talk about it,
like
and then they made the audio version. They basically copy pasted the audio of their podcast and then talked about it
yeah.
more at the end, which
I
is
mean,
yeah.
it's weird kind of looking back because I watched some of the Oxventure online over lockdown, and now I've gone back to their podcast version, and I mean, I quite like the way that they do it because whereas like Critical Role is very much it's streamed on the Thursday and then by like the Saturday they've cut it down and edited it and put it out as a podcast. I quite like the fact in a way that like the podcast for Oxventure started, I think, during the lockdown, which was a couple of years after they'd initially started
Yeah, because
filming them and doing them as events.
they started the Spicy Rat Caper in 2017,
Yeah,
and in
but
2021, I believe, is when they did the first podcast.
yeah, and I quite like it because the opening of the first podcast is Andy and Jane actually kind of looking back and talking about
It's like a
their memories
retrospective.
of filming that, and I'm like, it's
Yeah,
quite a nice touch.
and
It's nice to see them
I
looking back at
love
this rather than it just being oh, here's just the audio from the YouTube video.
I love that when like people that you look up to or people that you watch, they have like they show like when they look back to these times and they show a more human side. Like
Yeah,
they talk about their memories and you see the human underneath and the events that make them like who they are. Like you can tell like you can just tell like these people enjoy what they do because of how much they are reminiscing about their past.
yeah.
And yeah.
It shows that they have a passion for it, and it's not a case of keep creating this content because they think it will perform well or just for the hell of it or whatever. They're producing that content because they're enjoying doing that.
Yeah, and the thing is like back in 2017, 2018 when I first came across them, they just constantly got recommended to me on YouTube. I was like, fuck off.
Yeah.
I didn't want I didn't want watch anything that wasn't what I was used to. Then one day I just like, you know what, fuck it, and then I clicked it. It was like it was one of the usual lists on the main channel.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is fine. But it wasn't until I watched the Oxventure Out of Order that I was like, holy fuck, I love this. Like, and
Well,
then
yeah, and like,
yeah, and watched
sorry, you
their
continue.
show of the weekend. I watched their show of
Yeah.
the week, and when you see the more human side to them, or like the more fun side to them that isn't lists, You're just like,
Yeah,
holy fuck, what did I miss out on?
like the list video. Don't get me wrong. Some of the list videos are very good, very well put together. But you can like when you watch their list videos versus when you watch, like you say, Show of the Weekend or Oxventure or the live stream, even you can see the difference in their approach to making that content because the list
Yeah,
videos are heavily researched and scripted and edited, and they go into the game specifically to record very specific
yeah.
bits of footage.
Or like very rarely you have those times where they have a list and it's about their personal opinion. That's another thing that I
Yeah.
like. They're also my personal favourites.
But when you look at, Ellen Soul's Academy, like they're still playing a game, but the feel of it is so much different because
Yeah,
it is, it's live reactions to someone playing a game that they don't know particularly well, being guided by someone who has a lot of knowledge, but is kind of being a troll about it at the same time.
yeah. My favourite. Well, I don't know what my favourite part is in the entire Ellen Academy. It could. I don't know if it's Fear Academy or Souls Academy, which I would prefer. But I love like if we couldn't talk about my. Let's go for a top 5 favorite moments. We'll say, Jane eating popcorn while Ellen is screaming for her life in Evil Within. That was a good one. Without
That's
a
very good.
doubt, Andy saying he can hear you through your controller. He can't really. In Resident Evil 8. Um, we've done lists on this, Luke. That's another one.
Yeah.
From the constant scanner reminders from Mike in Isolation. Um, and if I went for a fifth one, it would have to be. Oh, I honestly, I can't really think of it. How about you?
I,
You tell us one that you love.
so some of the ones I like, I don't have like particular like standout moments from like the Fear Academies and stuff because I came to watching them quite late, I'll admit. But I saw the PT one where they made Ellen play the entirety of the PT like demo. And like Luke is trying his best to keep Ellen sane, but he's not doing well.
Yeah.
Um, the other one that I remember very fondly is I think it was during the Halloween, around the same time they did the PT. Um, they made Ellen play the Beneviento estate from Resident Evil 8 with Andy as her guide, and the entire video is just Andy trolling Ellen so much.
Yeah.
Like just constantly winding her up and making her jump at things that aren't real and all this sort of stuff. And it is so much fun to
The
watch
best part about it is that
because
like you just see the difference in everyone's reactions just shows like the type of
yeah,
friends that they are to each other. You got Andy who is really like a funny guy who will like
yeah.
get like make jokes. You have Ellen who is terrified for her life but will still like make crack a joke or two
I
just
think
to keep her sane.
yeah, I think the best way to see like all of their personalities come out really well are the Jackbox videos.
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
very quickly get like Mike and Luke who are, making the awkward dad jokes because they're both dads.
Yeah.
You have Jane who is trying to play it as seriously as possible with the other four people she's working with. You have Andy who is just absolute chaos. And then you have Ellen who is just consistently making puns.
Yeah. Until you get the out of left field I like my sex like I like my peanut butter joke in joke
Yeah.
boats.
Every now and again, there are
Yeah.
some absolute gems that come from
Yeah.
the least expected people, and it is so
Oh,
good. And
it's like
then
amazing.
and then you end up at the point where Andy just starts trying to create a meta around a certain thing.
Yeah. Oh,
My favorite of that has to be the fake Jane meta, where he just consistently pretends that it's Jane that's giving answers.
yeah, exactly.
Like, no, really, it's Jane. I need points. Vote for this one.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that is legit great. Oh, and their shorts as well is amazing. Like my favorite one is the like you said with Jane just acting like the mature one thing. like grabbing a glass saying, "Everyone, shut up! Mother's watching 2 Point Campus trailer,"
Yeah,
and it's just hilarious where she's like, just, "Everyone, shut up!" And yeah, I feel like that's the one thing. Like outside Xbox and outside Extra are probably the reason why I went on the trajectory that I did as with my choices in life. Honestly,
yeah.
because they helped me through a tough time in life when I first came across them, and then sooner or later, like Ellen recommended Sean's channel to me. Then I clicked on the link that she had, saw
Yeah.
something that I couldn't believe it was real, and then I got inspired to start streaming myself, and look where we are now,
Oh
doing
yeah.
a podcast.
It's weird when you try and track things like that because it is like every step on, you know, I'm sure your journey and my journey on getting to this point of streaming is like the most circumstantial
Yeah,
random occurrences possible to end up at a certain endpoint. You
yeah,
know, I watched Xbox stuff and became aware of the fact that one of my friends was also watching this, and then they got into streaming, and through them I met a community that they'd met through Xbox,
it
and it
just
all kind of span out of that.
it just shows that uh like, to put it bluntly for everyone, uh like I said, I was going through a tough time in my life where thoughts were happening that you're not well when you think those
Yeah,
thoughts.
no, no, no. I
And
am very familiar.
yeah, outside Xbox and outside Extra not only just saved my life through helping me think of, like, it kept me hopeful. It not only just did that, but in a sense, it also showed me a path of which way I wanted to go with my life.
Yeah,
Through. So honestly, out of all of them, yeah, out of all the five, Xbox crew, Ellen's probably the person I have to thank the most for it, because she is the reason why I know Sean, and Sean is the reason why I
yeah,
started streaming. And it was actually it was either Sean's birthday stream in 2021 or her 1 year anniversary, where it just felt like such a fucking pleasure to play Among Us with Sean, Beth, and fucking Ellen there as well. And I was just like,
yeah. Ellen did drop in on that actually.
yeah, I was like, I don't think, like, chances are,
Oh,
you know, Xbox True are probably never going to see this unless I fucking tag him, think we may or may not have gone on a tangent about him.
oh, we've gone
Uh,
on a real heavy tangent right now.
honestly, I love it because we are talking about something that we are both passionate about,
Well,
and also, I can just talk about this one moment where, like, that one time where I played Among Us with someone who, like, one of the five people who helped me through the toughest time of my life. It meant more to me than words can possibly,
yeah.
conjure up, without
I
a
had
doubt.
forgotten about that anniversary Among Us game
Yeah.
because I think that Among Us game gave me one of the most like one of the hardest decisions I have ever had to make in video gaming, which is really bizarre, but it came up because I don't know. Basically, Sean had elected that for some reason in that game she was Shaggy from Scooby Doo,
Yeah.
which just kind of happened.
And then everyone went
And
into
then
a Scooby
like
Doo gang, and I was just like,
then well then Beth and Ellen and myself all ended up becoming somehow the Scooby Gang. But then a game happened where we had three traitors, where I was one of them, and we ended up in a room with the four of us and the two other traitors. And I was looking around my screen, being like,
we can do
"Do
this.
we just coordinated slaughter this? Can I be that harsh?"
I might have been one of the other people thinking about
I think
it.
you might have been
Yeah.
one of the traitors. And I remember like everyone being stood in a corridor, and it was really clear the other two traitors were trying to be like, Meeple, we doing this?" Or
Yeah.
and then I
That was also
think
the same
two of them
game.
did it, and
Oh,
I just couldn't go through with it because they took Beth and Sean, and I was like, there is
yeah,
no way in hell I am going to be the one that kills Ellen.
yeah. I mean, I didn't really care about whether or not I'm chaotic neutral, so I didn't care who I
That's
killed.
fair. I
Um,
I
that was
I was so
also,
close to just doing a Thanos though, and just going like, I'm sorry, guys.
yeah. Uh,
Cool.
yeah. Honestly, I think that was the same day that Sonny outed me for saying security weirdly, because I was like security, and then he was like, Chris said security really weirdly, and then they got voted out. Oh,
I think that was also I recall Ellen killing someone. And
yeah.
I basically walked into the room and I was just like, Ellen, would you like to explain that dead body? And she was just like,
I
no.
don't know.
Like, great defense, I guess.
And I don't know if it was the same stream or it must have been the same stream where I gave Sean the fucking 1 year edit that I made as well.
That
Of
was a fantastic edit.
that was probably that's my proudest achievement.
That was incredible.
Oh, I mean, I spent over a month working on that.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's the thing. Like, I love editing when it's not me. But when it is me, I'm just like, it's like a slog. So
There are like streamers I would love to do that for, but I don't feel like I don't feel like I'm as core to anyone's like stream community as you
yeah,
are to Sean's.
I mean, I don't know how core I am anymore, honestly, because I don't really talk much in it anymore. Like, even though like I'm there regularly, I lurk regularly. I'm not lurking now because we're doing this,
Well, yeah. I was going to
but
say there's a few people who normally I'd have, multiple tabs open, but I'm not
yeah,
doing at the minute.
but like, yeah, and that's the toughest thing is like. I've been around communities because how else am I going to find these wonderful people to, talk to, collaborate with, maybe even do a podcast with? And so going back to Sean's community, it feels almost wrong that I'm going back to there and it feels like it's not earned. Like I haven't earned that place, even though I'm a fucking mod.
It's also it's hard as well because there comes a point, I think, for anyone who gets into streaming where you start to become, a bit of all these different communities. But as you get to know more and more people, you start to realize that like there is no good time to do a stream.
Yeah.
There is never a point where you can go, right, I'm going to stream at this time because no one else we know streams then, because it doesn't happen.
Yeah, and it
There is
doesn't
always
work.
someone else from the community doing a stream at some point, particularly on evenings and weekends, because guess what? That's A, the best time to get an audience, and B, when most people have time spare to stream.
That's the thing. Like the majority of the time, like the reason why I went for trying out evening streams last week was simply due to the fact that evening streams in the past did not work on Saturdays because everyone was live that time, and I was like,
Yeah.
ugh. But I found out that Thursdays were by far like everyone was coming in because people don't really stream Thursday nights, and I thought to
Well,
myself,
and
yeah,
equally, like, it's a weird one because when I started streaming, I only streamed on Thursday evenings and on Sunday evenings. That was it. Those were the only two streams I did. And then there came a point where basically every Sunday I was streaming, and I was streaming basically to an audience of no one because no one was turning up.
no one hangs out on Sundays. That's why I don't do
And they,
Sundays.
well, this was the thing. Like at that point, I was just like, no one hangs out on Sundays. I'm going to scrap off the Sundays. I moved it to a Wednesday instead because I think one other person I knew who streamed on a Wednesday. So I'm like, okay, I can work around that and I can put a stream in there. Um, and that worked for quite a long time. And then just one, I think I got back from work on a Sunday evening once, and I just went, you know what, sod it, I'm going to do a Sunday stream again because I really want to stream tonight. And then that Sunday stream somehow was the most views I had ever had on a stream.
It's
And
very
I don't,
odd. Like,
what exactly changed in that like 4 month period that I just went, I'm not doing Sundays
yeah,
anymore because no one turns up, to suddenly everyone being there on a Sunday. I have no idea. I cannot explain what
Yeah,
happened. I don't know if that's a case of just I'd become a part of more communities in the meantime, which meant that more people who didn't originally know me were there, or what? But
yeah,
somehow now my streams are often doing better than my week streams, which
yeah,
is incredible. But it now means that I kind of don't want to stop doing my streams.
yeah, exactly. Because you just worry that, you know,
Well, yeah, you worry that somehow like changing your schedule from that one point is going to somehow
affects
affect
everything.
everything.
Yeah,
And realistically, it probably wouldn't.
yeah. It would
If
affect like
you
one
know,
day, but you'd feel like
yeah,
everything.
if I now went, you know what, I can't be doing 3 streams a week, I'm going to get rid of Sunday again. I don't think my Wednesday and my Thursday audience would suffer because of that.
Yeah.
Why would it?
And yeah, exactly. And Megan says sometimes at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. my time, no one is streaming, and that's like
Yeah,
that's for us 9 a.m. roughly in the UK time.
yeah, and
And yeah,
that's the other difficult thing to a point is I think I ended up pushing my Sunday streams to a later point on Sunday because I realized that when I was streaming on Sunday originally was like 5 till 7 UK time, but 5
yeah,
till 7 UK time, a lot of my stream viewers are American and Canadians. And 5 a.m. my time on a Sunday is like 10 in the morning for them.
yeah,
And not a lot of people want to watch a stream at 10 in the morning on a weekend because people do stuff on weekends.
exactly. And
So instead, streaming at, 9, 10, 11 o'clock UK time means I'm streaming kind of late afternoon, early evening, which is when people are more likely, I guess, to tune in. I don't know.
yeah, like that's the thing. You can never crack the code of what days are good, what days are not, unless you just look at the analytics, seeing who is there, who is not, and you like,
But
and you see what times. Like I have to have like a very strict thing where it's like when I'm recording it, I have to see what days, what games, what times those streams, like, and how long those streams
like
last. And even
in
then,
in
it's inconsistent.
comparison, yeah, I was going to say in comparison with that, I'm gonna quickly jump to my channel analytics, um, just to have a look at what exactly has happened for me over the last couple of weeks. But for instance, my last stream, which was last Thursday, got an average of 8.3 viewers.
Yeah,
The week before that, the Sunday I had 13, and the Tuesday I had 7.5. But then the week before that, on Friday, I had an insane amount of viewers. It's
yeah. And you also have to like keep in
completely
mind when
unpredictable.
raid will happen as well. You don't know when a raid will
Yeah,
happen that will affect it. And the
as
thing
I'm
is,
looking at this, I've suddenly just gone, I don't remember streaming that day. I'm looking at it and I don't remember doing a stream on and going, what the hell did I stream?
you must have done a drunk stream. Uh,
I,
yeah.
it's probably Lego Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
That's my most logical guess. I think that was the week Lego Star Wars came out, and I just basically streamed every evening that week
Yeah, exactly.
because I was really into it. But
Yeah, like there's no rule book to streaming when it comes to what you do. It's just a rule book of what not to do. And even then, like you can have a there's no rule book of when to stream, just when not to stream. Like you can see like by comparison of like the other streams that week that
yeah,
like for me it's a bit more consistent because sometimes because I can see a bit more clearly that Mondays seem to be doing better in the afternoons. Thursdays were always the second best, and then but now recently Saturdays have become like the best stream uh of the
yeah,
week. So like I said, it's just you just have to see what you have and make what do with it. And then you also have to consider what weeks are Easter holidays or Christmas holidays or summer
yeah.
holidays. And you need to know what will people typically be doing those at those times. Uh,
Well, yeah,
yeah, it's just
you
you can never guess.
you can't predict it, and sometimes you'll get, like you say, you'll get unexpected raids, you'll get raids. I've had raids from channels that I've never interacted with because they've seen that I was playing the same game they were playing. And that can really heavily tip the balance one way or the other as to, whether a day looks better or not. I've had equally, streams where I have changed nothing about the stream. I've gone from a Wednesday evening stream at a particular time playing a particular game to the following week doing the same game on the Wednesday at the same time. And the viewer counts can be wildly different. And it can
Yeah.
be as simple as, oh, a collection of people who are usually in my audience have all, gone out and gone for drinks tonight. So, that has had a consequence on my streaming audience. That doesn't mean that my stream is better or worse than it was the week before, because
Yeah.
it's fewer people there, because there are so many factors that can play into that are outside of your control as the streamer.
Yeah, and it just reinforces our point earlier of, stream because you enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because,
Honestly, best thing I did with my streaming setup, I removed the follower and viewer count off of my OBS window.
yeah.
I took that widget, I got rid of it, and it has been so much better. Like, my
Yeah.
attitude towards streaming has been so much better since I got rid of that, and I'm not constantly seeing this live number of you have so many people watching your thing, because that doesn't make a
That
difference
doesn't make it a good
to
stream or a
how
bad
you
stream.
should. But yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. Your metric for a good stream or a bad stream shouldn't be as simple as how many people watched it. And
Yeah.
equally, I think the way that you stream shouldn't be dictated on whether you have one person or 1,000 people active on your stream. The way you stream needs to be the way you stream for a reason. It needs to be you.
It's your channel, so your style.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I'll say is that these podcasts have been consistently my favorite thing to do each month because, not because of the view count. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, two of these podcasts have been in my top 10 view counts of all time in terms of average, but it's more because of like the people that I'm talking to, or like the conversations we're having, or better yet, it's the fact that I'm learning something new about something that I care passionately about. I started off like the podcast with a person that I am no longer friends with, unfortunately, but I had a good time with them talking
Yeah.
about what we were talking about. And then the month after, I had the podcast with CK, which view wise is the worst, but in terms of quality of like how I felt about it, I still found it an amazing experience to talk about how
Yeah.
CK met his wife, his time being a father, his love for gaming, and then the month after that, I did one with Brits, and that one was amazing because it felt like it was the first time that we genuinely had collaborated with anything, and we became friends a little like a month or two before I even started the podcast. And she was always like a really amazing friend to me, and it was an absolute pleasure to have her around. And the reason why I loved it so much was because it didn't feel like I was doing a podcast per se, but it felt like I was talking to a friend that has helped me through so much and that I wanted to learn more about. And then we go to the month after. Once again, it's Kelsbells. She is once again another wonderful person who, I became friends with. I followed over a year ago, and then I started to learn more about her. And then she took a hiatus, and then she came back, and that's how I became more of a friend to her because I knew her through CK. And
Yeah.
talking to her like was once again like a nice thing to learn more about uh, her time as a gamer and a streamer and how unique uh, her way of life has been compared to the previous guests. And today we are talking about something that is also like we've been talking about things that are completely different to the other ones and completely unique. We've gone on tangents about running jokes and to one thing that both you and I are passionate about, and it's an amazing. It
Yeah.
felt amazing because once again, it doesn't feel like a podcast. It feels like a genuine conversation between two friends.
Yeah. Speaking of, are there any more questions that you like specifically wanted to ask?
Uh, when it comes to specifically wanted to ask, like I said, they're all loosely based.
Oh yeah.
I've got a bunch of questions here. But if there's one thing that I will say, what is the one achievement as a streamer that you are most proud of, and if there is one that you are least proud of?
The second part of that question is certainly an interesting one. The thing I'm most proud of since streaming, honestly, I don't think I could pick just one.
You can go for a
Like,
selection.
street streaming has like changed so many things for me that I honestly feel like it'd be quite not you know foolhardy, but like it would be really weird to say that like one thing stands out above everything else. Um, I mean, like I said earlier, the fact that I made affiliate and made it over 100 followers within a single year, I honestly find staggering. I, you know, I never expected to get anywhere near the kind of follower figures I am now. And realistically, I'm at 160. Like, it's not a huge number by a lot of people's standards, but for me, that is so much further than I ever thought I was likely to get that it blows me away that that has happened. Um, the people I've met through it, people like yourself, Beth, Precious Rogue, as we talked about earlier, Sean, Sunny, all of those kind of communities that I've just fallen into as a result of making a one-off decision to start streaming on a new console I got is incredible
Yeah,
as an opportunity. And I mean, even since then, there have been things that have happened that I wouldn't have expected. I'm not going to say exactly what right now because I don't know if they're actually happening or not. So I don't want to kind of,
oh yeah, absolutely.
flaunt something and then just
Yeah,
have
keep it to yourself
completely
if you want
fucked
to.
it.
Yeah,
Um, but like there are opportunities and things that are now being presented to me as very real options that I just would never have expected coming into this.
yeah.
A thing, an achievement I'm least proud of. Um, I don't know. There are some moments of my streaming history that I may like that I'd maybe have a wish to go back and change slightly.
Yeah,
But at the same time, I feel like making those choices, not even necessarily mistakes, but making those choices and whatever, have sometimes worked out better in the long run than if I hadn't done that thing.
yeah,
I don't know if that.
yeah, that makes sense because it's like if you didn't make that mistake, you wouldn't have learned from it, or something like
Yeah,
that.
like um a mistake in streaming is also a chance to learn, to
Yeah,
improve, and things like that. And even not even necessarily mistakes in streaming, but like I have met people from lots of different walks of life. I've met people that identify as various different sexualities and genders and what have you, that have helped me realize that some behaviors that I maybe had, or mannerisms or ways of phrasing certain things, maybe aren't things that I should be doing.
yeah,
I don't want to say that I was a toxic person when I started streaming, because I definitely got rid of a lot of the toxic traits that I did have at younger ages, because I think it's
I mean,
hard
let's be honest, all
to be a
children.
teenager and not be
Yeah,
that.
I mean, all teenagers are toxic. I should know.
Yeah,
I have to grow up with one that is turning into a teenager soon.
but I liked, or I was very much under the impression when I started streaming that I had addressed all of those problems, and then I started streaming and I started interacting with people who were better informed on these matters for very good
Yeah,
reason. That helped me realize that. okay, I did still have stuff to learn,
Yeah.
and that's not a bad thing by any stretch. I'm not saying that you know people should be ashamed or upset or anything if
Yeah.
they realize that they still have things to learn and improve on. I don't know that I would say any person should, get to a point where you think that you know everything because I
Yeah.
don't think anyone can do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the problem isn't that you don't know, it's that you just refuse to
Yeah,
learn. That is more the problem that
yeah,
people face.
and that was something I think it was something that twigged for me quite recently in a way that I hadn't properly appreciated before that. In that, um, recently on Twitter and things, I have been seeing and to some extent responding to more things about uh, um, alternative sexualities and things like that than I had done before. And there came a point the other weekend where I just kind of got to a point where I was like, I don't want to see this today. I'm going to shut off Twitter for a day. I'm going to not look at Twitter so that I don't have to engage in this. And then I suddenly kind of took a step back and went, this is what privilege is. This is literally me being in a position where I get the luxury of going, I'm going to turn off Twitter. And because I've made that one action, I can pretend this doesn't exist, which is
Yeah.
something that people who identify in those ways don't have the luxury of doing. They can't just go, well, I'm not going to go on Twitter for the day because
Because
they
it'll come
experience
back
it
tomorrow.
everywhere.
Yeah.
But and equally, if they go outside their house, they might experience it. If they go
Yeah.
on YouTube or on Twitch and go live, they could still experience that.
Yeah.
And it is a position of privilege to be able to just go, I can choose not to have to deal with this today.
Yeah. Like,
And I
absolutely.
realized that maybe that's a damaging approach to take to it. To me, to say, I'm just going to pretend this isn't a thing today, because that doesn't mean it goes away at all. It just
Yeah.
means that my acknowledgement of it is diminished slightly.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, I don't know, like much about like that kind of thing myself because
Oh,
when it comes to
I,
that
I
it's like, yeah, I know these people, but the
yeah,
my philosophy is you live your life, I live mine. You know, I don't really care about how you identify yourself. I care about who you are underneath.
I fully agree with that. I'm never going to be. I never want to be someone who is going to judge people based on random external factors or labeling.
Yeah, and
Um,
yeah, go ahead.
it's just it's one of those things where I think for me, I've reached a point now where I don't particularly know what label I'd put on myself at this point. I haven't worked that out, which is fine. And I'm not saying people need to even find labels if they're happy
Yeah,
not having them. But I think I've reached a point where I went, just being here and reading this and acknowledging it as a thing, I don't feel that is me doing enough. And
yeah,
that's a personal thing. I'm not going to advocate on any level that people should go out and be outspoken if they do not feel comfortable doing that. Don't do that. Do what you are comfortable doing. But I think that realization for me was very much a moment of going, I can do more with the position I have been granted by, in this case, biology, of being a white guy
yeah,
that, and I'm not going to claim that I'm an expert on these matters. I'm not going to say in any way that I am even well informed on these matters because, again, I do my best to learn from things, but there are going to be, bits of that of whatever goes on in any respect to that I don't see, and it's part of why I think for me, trying to be open and honest about mental health on my stream is so important to me
Yeah,
because it's the one area of that I have got personal experience in, and I can share that. And you know, if that makes one person feel less uncomfortable about what they're going through, or less alone about what they're going through, or just helps them realize that, you know, they aren't the only person to go through what they're going through, that for me is enough to make that worthwhile.
exactly. And when it comes to something like that, or like being open and honest about like who you are to people, especially in the
Yeah,
community, it's more it's like you said, like it makes people like more comfortable with who they are or what they do. But there will also come a point where you yourself will do something where you're like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. And one example for me happened yesterday where I was just like, um, I like there was someone who was having a bad day, and I just leaped at the chance to help, like message them, DM them, and help them out. And
yeah,
I've realized that despite the fact that I've been trying to get this part of me where it's just like I need to stop feeling like getting so close to people because that's how I got hurt last time. Despite that, I just can't help myself but to just jump at the opportunity to help people because I care.
yeah.
And
I mean,
I put a tweet about it saying, I'm really shit at this lone wolf thing, huh? And then I got a reply saying humble brag, and that's where I got the regrets for outright saying it, because it was just like, it did feel like I can see why it's a humble brag, but it was more like, I didn't really want, I kind of want to be a bit more of a lone wolf for the reason of I don't want to get hurt again, and
yeah.
but I can see why it came across as humble brag.
I mean, it is an awkward thing because I feel like if you go through a tough period of mental health, I feel like for a lot of people, the natural thing to want to do is to try and use that experience to help other people.
Yeah.
But that in turn opens you up to
Getting accused of self-indulgence.
both being accused of self indulgence and throwing yourself back into that
Yeah,
arena, which, speaking from experience, it's not a coping strategy.
yeah,
And I
uh,
will I will happily say that as someone who spent most of my teenage years trying to help everyone else solve their problems so that I didn't have to focus on my own.
yeah. And
It's
there's always a rule of thumb to say, to help others, help yourself first. And you don't really get
yeah,
that until you realize why that is. I mean, you experience it
yeah,
yourself, and you realize, yeah, shit, I can't really help this person because I need to help
yeah.
myself.
It took until a particular year of my life for me to basically realize that I needed to put myself more at the forefront of my own concerns.
Yeah, and
I had spent a long time trying to downplay my own issues to help out other people, and eventually it came back to bite me. I'm not going to talk
yeah,
exactly about
you
what,
don't have to. Don't worry.
but but basically it led to an event happening that probably could have been avoided if I'd actually just taken the time to acknowledge that I needed to work on my own stuff instead of dealing with everyone else's instead of my own.
Yeah, absolutely. And we both have like another similarity in that we both focus on mental health because it's something that we both know a thing or two about, like from our own experiences. And at the end of the day, that's what life is, just experiences and how
Yeah.
they can be used. Like I said, sometimes they can be used to help, but sometimes they can you throw yourself under the bus in their
Yeah.
place. And the one thing that I will say is that mental health should really, like, I feel like it should be talked about more amongst people, uh, you know, of all walks of life. Like, we do like here, like, we do have nowadays, we do have like a Pride Month for the LGBTQ plus representation. Black History Month has been a thing for I don't even know how long, but this
Depends on different countries, I believe.
yeah, and we have different movements for different events that people have gone through in their lives, and they talk about their stories. And we are both two white men, and we both suffer from mental health problems of our own. Uh, and it just says that I feel like the one message that that carries more than anything else is that mental health does not discriminate, so why should we?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah,
Um,
like I feel like that's the thing we need to focus on. Like I feel like the real problem, you know, is that these people who are discriminating, who are like, targeting people of different walks of life, they don't need to. I feel like they need to see that they aren't the enemy. It's the one thing that there are things that we all suffer from in some way, shape, or
yeah.
form, or
It's
and they have no specific, targets in mind, and they are they are the things that we need to address. I think.
yeah, it's an upsetting point when you realize that somehow in 2022 we still haven't fully agreed on who deserves basic human rights. Like
Yeah, it's
that's a
just
ridiculous thing to
like,
think.
here's the thing, like back in like 2020 or 2019 with the Black Lives Matter, then you have people arguing all
Yeah,
lives matter, and it's like the message isn't wrong. It's the people who are sending it who are trying to change the wording of that.
yeah. Like there's like it's this weird perception that I think certain groups get very caught up in with those things, where they seem to perceive it that for another group to get more rights, that means someone else has to lose them,
Yeah, and it's
which
like
isn't how that works.
exactly like
Rights aren't a finite thing on Earth.
yeah,
It's not
we're all
like it's
entitled
not
to
like
them.
it's not like fossil fuels where eventually we're going to run out of them. If we can just agree that everyone deserves to be treated in the same way, that
Yeah,
would work. That doesn't mean that you have less rights than anyone else, or than you have. Well, it might mean that some people have less rights than they have now, but let's be honest, they don't deserve them if they have them
yeah,
now.
that's the thing. But then it's not because of how they are born or how they identify; it's because of what they've done. And
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like we can like it's like earlier we talked about how awesome the Ox Ventures are, and I talked about how they not only saved my life but also gave me a path to my future. And it's
yeah,
like that's the thing that I feel like we all as a society need to do. Put good into the world, good will find its way back to you. And I found
yeah,
that, good has found its way back to me after I've done a good thing, and bad has found its way back to me whenever I make a mistake. Uh, and sometimes even done a bad thing or two, like in my life. Nothing illegal, but nothing
good,
moral.
good to clarify.
Yeah, nothing illegal. I haven't broken the law, but it's nothing moral. And that's the
Yeah,
thing that if there's one message that we can all take away from this one stream, it's that put good into the world. It's not a case of fate. Sometimes I mean, it might be, but it can also be a case of someone saying that I owe you one and they owe it you back
yeah,
once the time comes. Uh, and yeah, I feel like that's the reason why I did the 1 year streaming video for Sean. That's why every opportunity I get, I credit the people who have helped me. That's why my entire thing with the podcasts and with my streams in general is to give good people the recognition I believe they deserve. And that's why you're a guest, Meeple,
thank you.
because you are a really pleasant person to be around. And you had what 150 followers, about
Yeah, like 167 or something.
yeah,
I don't.
almost close
I
to the good
should know it
number.
considering I looked at it
Yeah,
recently.
almost close to the good number. But despite that, like you're averaging views, like I see you live and you have more live viewers than people with quadruple that amount, or even like 10 times that amount. And it's because people just like being around you. Uh,
That it's as we were saying earlier, streaming
yeah, streaming
to an extent it's a numbers game,
it is.
but
Yeah,
it's a numbers game that you can make work a lot better in your favor
yeah,
if you can create the right. community around you.
Exactly, and that's the
You know,
thing.
like you say, there are people with 4-digit follower numbers who sometimes I can get a higher stream average viewer than.
Yeah, and the reason
Not
why
quite
is
but
is simple. It's like I said, you've got this community around you, and they are part of their own communities as well. Don't get me
yeah,
wrong. Like they're all part of say Beth's community or Sean's community, maybe even my community. Uh,
yeah,
and the fact that you're able to maintain that speak out just shows that people are there for you. People are absolutely watching your streams for you. They are absolutely, they may be chatting, they may be lurking. They are there for you, and you have certainly become a part of their communities. And it's not just as a streamer that people are coming to you, it's as a human being. Because like you said, you're a
yeah,
variety streamer, and
very much.
I think you should absolutely get the recognition for all the lovely stuff that you've done for other people and the lovely community that you have made into your own as well.
Thank you. That is very nice to hear from someone who has. I mean, how long did you say you'd been streaming?
Well, on Thursday, the 28th, it will be
Yeah.
exactly 18 months, a year and a half.
Okay.
So,
So you, I mean, again, like a thing to bear in mind there is, so you started what, November 2020?
October 2020.
October.
Yeah.
So like between me and you, there's probably only about a 2 month gap in us starting streaming.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like
You know,
we took different roads as well.
yeah,
I joined a team, and
yeah,
that's how things started off for me. And then when I left the team, nothing really changed in terms of what I gained or what I lost. Like I gained things when I was part of the team, experience, credibility, people who I can turn to. But at the same time, when I left, I didn't really lose anything because by that point I was confident enough in my abilities to go at it not alone, but like without a team.
yeah. And I think that was that was something I kind of worried about when I started streaming, was that I was streaming as me.
Yeah,
As in,
and
like, there wasn't a support community or anything like that. There weren't people who could help me or I didn't know if he'd be able to help me if I had tech issues, because I was effectively relying on people who I'd met by extension of other streamers turning up to see what I was creating. And in a sense, I think I'm lucky in that some of the first people to find my channel have been some of the biggest sources of support that I've had to this day.
yeah,
Um,
it really does depend on like who you run into, which and yeah, I would say that you got lucky in that they found you. But
yeah,
I think it's you that made it so that they stayed around, and that's my.
I'd like to think so.
I think that is the case with most streamers is that you can have it's lucky if they come in the first place, but it's entirely up to you to keep them around.
Yeah, I think
And
I think that's very much the thing, and I think this was something both me and you commented on. Was it We Are Venom you were talking about earlier? Said
yeah,
about the hosts and raids thing
yeah,
is like so We Are Venom was kind of viewing this from a point of raids, while useful and helping share awareness of different channels. A lot of people who follow off of a raid often won't come back,
yeah,
which is fair. Like, you can't expect everyone who comes in on a raid. Like, I have myself followed channels off the back of raids from channels I know, but then after having watched that channel for half an hour in some cases, I've gone, actually, this streamer doesn't appeal to me. That's not to say they're a bad streamer by any stretch. Again, just,
yeah.
throwing
It's
that in
taste.
for
It
the
comes
sake
down
of
to
covering
taste.
myself.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's personal opinion, personal taste in what you want to see from streamers you watch. If you are someone who likes, streamers who are very, you know, competitive battle royale streamers, that's great. There are lots of streamers out there for you. But that's not what I want to watch streams of.
Yeah,
Personally,
and that's why I
I
make
would
it.
much rather see someone playing, indie games that is playing because they have a real passion just for gaming generally.
Yeah, like it's as you say, like sometimes it's not for people of like you can raise into someone, you can watch them like I'm not really into this, so with all due respect, I'm
Yeah,
like, and you don't even have to say anything. You can just leave because it's not,
no,
and you don't want to put give them like you don't want to make them get them down. Uh, so you just can
and
go ahead.
that's the other thing as well. Like there are people out there who will join streams in raids and then will um like talk down that streamer because it's not what they personally like.
Yeah.
Totally uncalled for. That is poor Twitch behavior.
Yeah, like it's um like that's the thing. Like I do have points where I would say like I do like the stream, but like they're doing something that I'm personally would not like. I personally would not like. If you like it, then absolutely check
Yeah,
them out. But it's just not for me, so I'm not going to go there. So I have had points where I've done that and I've said that, but it's like I'm maturing them that these streamers are amazing, and whenever they are whenever like they are streaming, you should absolutely check them out. But if it's not for
yeah,
you, it's not for you, and it's not for me.
yeah,
So that's something to respect.
yeah. And that's the thing. I think as well. There's you can support people in different ways, in whichever way you choose. There are a lot of channels that I follow that I don't necessarily actually watch the streams that much, and that is a mixture of they stream at times when I'm not available to watch a stream, so I can't be there, or they stream when someone else that I also watches stream, so I have to kind of balance time between jumping between the two or whatever.
Yeah,
And
that's another thing.
that,
It's like you can be part of a community. Like I always like joke about this, but the reality is like I don't mind. It's that Brit changed her schedule so that all of the streams are at 1 a.m. our time. So I made it a
yeah,
running joke, but also I make it a thing so that because I normally tend to stay up until 1 a.m. anyways. I wait for her to go live. I just say hi Brit, bye Brit, because that's when I go to bed. It's
yeah.
like I said, like yes, there are some times where even if you want to stay behind, you just can't. Uh,
There is equally a streamer. I won't say who this is, but there's a streamer that I occasionally send jokey, grumpy messages because of the fact that they will often throw in extra streams on their schedule that often happen to coincide with when I stream.
they're trying to take him
This
away.
is Yeah, this
The
is
leap.
also a person who I am I share a lot of my community with. So the people who watch my channel and the people who watch their channel, there's a large overlap in those two audiences. So I like every now and again just winding them up and being like, stop trying to steal my audience. And
Yeah,
I obviously I know that's not why they're
that's not
doing
what's
it. I know
happening.
they're
Yeah,
not doing it to steal views from me or to try and, get in my way or anything like that. It's just that, for them, the times that I stream are also times that they are free and available, and if they want to do an extra stream, that's a great time to do it. Fair
I
enough.
the hilarious thing is, Sean put on a fucking post in Discord today that she was going to like see you at 8. I was like, that's when the podcast's happening.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah, I
shit.
did notice that, and I was like, yeah.
Uh-oh. But that I think that's hilarious that whenever that happens, and that wasn't the only time that's happened where like today even where someone's like see you at this time, then I translate it to BST and it's 8 p.m. and I'm like fuck.
Yeah.
and
and
it's just unlucky.
like
There's no one to
there,
blame. It's just unlucky.
yeah, there's a streamer that I've recently like been following and interacting with a lot on various social medias. But like every time I stream, they tend to be at work. The one stream that I do on a weekend when they're not at work, they also stream. And it's really awkward because we both really want to support each other, but my streams are while they're at work. Their streams are generally while I'm asleep. And the one stream that we could both view, we both stream at the same time slot.
Yeah, you'd have to do like code streams just to make ends meet.
Yeah,
I mean that.
maybe that's the way around it. I don't know.
I mean
But
that's the only way I can think of personally.
it's just it's quite funny in a way because
Yeah.
we both really want to support each other. It's just that practicalities of life mean that that's not always viable.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing that shows like who a person is that sometimes they can get outright annoyed when it happens, or they can just joke about it and have a laugh,
Yeah,
like we do. And there was a time
and
where like I was talking to someone who got legit jealous that someone was doing better than them because they were doing the same
I mean,
thing at similar times. I was like,
don't get me wrong. I have, and this again probably stretches to specific mental health based issues that I have, but I have occasionally had to basically like excuse myself in a stream primarily by just saying I've got to go for a bit and going into lurk mode because of the fact that it's someone I know and someone who I've followed for quite a long time, and I see the difference between how they do on Twitch and how I do on Twitch. And in my head, I compare them, and I know that's a bad thing to
that's all.
do.
Yeah, that's always a bad thing, but you just can't help it.
But yeah, because of the way that my brain works or whatever, I instinctively start that comparison. And once I start that comparison, the only way I can break it is to go, I need to just not be here for a little while.
Yeah,
I need to take some time away and just put this back into context of just because they're doing well doesn't mean I can't do well.
yeah,
It's not, a sign of people's preference or whatever. This is just how Twitch works.
yeah. Like,
And sorry, continue.
yeah. I was just thinking like, and that's the thing. Like, there was a time where like when I was in the team, one of the members blew up, and then they put like instead of like making their own Discord, they put their own section for themselves in the team Discord,
Right,
and
okay.
as a result, everyone from their Discord everyone from their community came in, and the rest of us, it was a case of like they were the people there was like, I'm only here for this streamer, uh, and it just put like a sour taste in my mouth and a sour taste in
Yeah,
quite a few fellow members' mouth that these people are coming in because they're only supporting this one person, and the reality is they could have just made their own Discord and have them
yeah,
there, and don't force people into a team Discord when it's for the team. And that's one of the things that actually prompted me to leave, is that I was not satisfied with how they were running the team, and how like
it
they
is a
were
team,
forcing
yeah.
people who didn't want anything to do with the rest of the team into a team server. So I was like,
Yeah.
with all due respect, I don't like the way things are being run. I'm leaving.
Well,
Um,
and this is part of the thing for me as well, is that like again, because I get weird and kind of fixated on things like this. I always like I know there is literally no reason I should feel this, but I always feel slightly guilty when I post on someone's self promo channel on Discord because I
yeah,
feel like I'm just using someone else's audience for my own personal gain,
yeah, and
and it feels wrong. But I also acknowledge that that's kind of how Twitch communities work. Like that's why they have that self promo
yeah.
channel,
The one
is to be
thing,
like big
yeah,
yourself up as well.
the one thing that I've there's two ways that I've found a way around that. First way is like, well, there's one way that I found a way around that, is that to have not just a self promo channel, but also have a shout out channel, so that you can, shout someone else out and give them their
Yeah,
link, but at the same time you can, so that you feel a bit less guilty about doing it for yourself. And it's like that's one way that I've got about it. But yeah, I completely
yeah.
agree with you. And it's like I feel bad doing it in other people's self promo. And
I will.
especially since I don't really talk much in Discord, like I talk more in their streams,
Yeah,
and even then, sometimes I lurk because I'm either just too tired or exhausted, or I'm just like I'm already busy, like editing a podcast, for example.
yeah. I do very much intentionally not post in someone's self promo channel if I know that they are live at the point that
Yeah,
I'm posting,
yeah,
because I feel like that's like, again, that might just be me, but to me I see that as like
yeah. I try to do
quite
that.
a
I try and avoid
rude
it
thing to do.
myself.
And
Yeah,
I'm not saying that you shouldn't be allowed to do that. If the streamer has
if they
no
permit
rules
it,
about that,
yeah,
then yeah, a lot of Discord channels do permit it. And equally, if a Discord channel doesn't permit it, I think they probably should put that in the rules somewhere of their Discord to say, okay, we have a self promo channel. However, we request that you don't use it if the owner of the Discord is actively streaming.
yeah. Like I get that. That's why I did not self promo in Sean's channel because I knew she was
Yeah,
going. I knew for a fact she was going live at the same
yeah,
time. I was like, no. But I knew that the other channels that I was using, for example, Beth's, yours,
yeah.
I knew that.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
by all means, shout it out in mine. I'm here.
yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. But like in other channels that I know aren't streaming or I don't know will be streaming, I will put it in there because that's what they're there for. But I make sure that
Yeah,
I don't double dip because sometimes you
yes.
go to a self promo channel, it's you and then no one's posted since your last time, so you're just like, I'm just like, I'm going to just avoid that, and so I
I
try not
sometimes
to double
worry
dip.
about that. Yeah, I sometimes worry about that. There was one Discord channel that I am a part of. I'm for purposes of tax, I won't say exactly whose Discord channel this was. But they had a live streams channel, which initially I believe started as just their own live streams got posted in that channel. And
Yeah,
then they started using, I think it's Streamcord is the bot on Discord, where you can like put in certain Twitch usernames and it just automatically prompts when someone goes live.
yeah. I don't know if that's the name of it, but yeah, I've seen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's something like that anyway.
I think uh, I think I know someone who uses it. I don't know if it's someone that you're referring to, so I'm not going to say. I'm not sure.
uh I don't think the person you're thinking of is the someone.
Okay,
No, it's not.
I
It's not that channel. No.
okay. I was going to say like. I know that Sunny has like a bot
Yeah,
that
this
automatically, if
isn't
you're a streamer,
that isn't. Yeah, that isn't the channel I'm referring to.
okay,
I know he has that. But I'm assuming that with that bot and equally this other channel I know that the bot was used in, I assume that has to be set at somewhere externally to just someone signing up to that Discord who is like has their Twitch linked. Because for instance, I know in Sunny's, I have to manually post my own promo there because
you don't have it in your
the bot
Twitch.
he doesn't do it for me.
Yeah,
And my Twitch is linked to my Discord so that if that was an automated thing, it would happen. I assume,
yeah,
unless I need to activate the bot or something. I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, the people who or the channel I was talking about, their Discord started out. The live stream channel was just for them, and then lots of other people started being included in that live streams bit. And they also had a separate self promo channel. But over time, more and more people got took out of that channel to the live streams channel to the point where the self promo channel was just me.
blimey.
And then I kind of became very self conscious about using it because I'm like, this feels awkward because now this self promo channel may as well just be titled Meeple's Going Live channel
Honestly,
because that was
if they did
all the
title it
update.
that, I feel like that would actually put you at ease, wouldn't it?
It It would do, but then I stopped using it because I didn't like that I was the only person using it because it felt very self-indulgent.
Yeah.
Um, and now I don't think their Discord actually has a self-promo channel because almost everyone that used to use it, not including me, is included in their live streams automatically. And I'll be honest, I'm too awkward to raise that as a question with them.
That's
So
completely
I'm just
fair.
like, I don't self-promo there. Fine.
Yeah.
They're and equally, these are also people who are in other Discord servers I'm in, so I'm not too worried about not self-promoing there because I know the people who are in that Discord get updates from elsewhere.
Yeah. Uh,
So yeah,
yeah. I say, we've gone 2.5 hours. I say that's where we leave it
that
for today.
probably is a sensible finishing
Yeah.
point.
Thank you so much for joining me this month, Meeple.
No
Um,
worries at all, Chris. Thanks for
yeah.
having me here.
I'm glad. Honestly, I thought, I thought this month I'd go with someone that I feel a bit more comfortable with, just in case, because I knew that
Yeah,
I had a lot going on this month when it came to well, a lot happens in Easter anyway, because well in April anyway,
yeah.
because Easter and then some people do April Fools.
Easter
I
holidays,
didn't.
bank holidays happen as
Yeah,
well. Yeah,
I've got
it gets
friends who are born in April as well, and I've got
yeah,
my 18 months. So I thought I'm going to go with someone that I think will someone that I'm comfortable with because I've streamed with before, and someone
yeah,
that I want to learn more about. So
yeah.
that
Fair
is
enough.